Om Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vighnopashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today we are going to look into a certain philosophy element of your learnings. Whenever we move into anything we do, especially when you step into something called the yoga lineage, which is so much practice oriented, it's important that we put this very sacred practice time into a context that is meaningful for us. Meaningful for us, for our life journey. Meaningful for us to know why yoga? Why at all? Why not just the gym? Why not just some, jogging, things like that? Why yoga? What is it that yoga has that makes this practice so special for our lives? So it's very important to recognize the context, the background, the purpose, the destination. What is it we wish to achieve when we invest so much time in learning the yoga practices that are frankly not connected to your tradition? And your ancestors, the older generations, have been fine without it, So you talk to your family members, I'm going for a yoga course, and they'll think, oh, she's just kind of trying out some new hobbies. And they don't expect you to take this so seriously as part of your life and lifestyle and so on. And maybe even your path, your life path for some of you. And so it's not an easy process, but it's definitely a deeply, deeply gratifying process. Because there is such a powerful spiritual element in yoga that at times, even if we don't comprehend everything, there is some truth in it, there is something in it. There's something which the soul recognizes, the soul in you recognizes and says, there's something here which is unique that I have never heard before, and I want to know more. I've seen this as a very, very, very common response of people coming from different cultures, and it's a matter of time and patience and perseverance that they find things shifting in their own personal lives with a great, great blessings. And so this course is primarily a focus on the philosophy of a great ancient spiritual tradition, probably the most ancient on this planet today, that is live, that's vibrant, that continues to have a lot to offer to the world. But to move into the philosophy, we need to first just take a stock of our own lives. Because there's a philosophy is all about being introspective, being reflective, being able to ask some basic questions of life. Like, why are we here? What is life about? What is, like somebody said to me, one young man had lost a lot of family members during Corona, and he was totally devastated. And he just wanted answers on what is death. And his grandma and his uncle and aunt and so many members just disappeared over a period of few months. And that shock, he was unable to really recover. And he came to me, and he was with me for just about a week or so. But something so big shifted for him. And he said to me before he left, he said, Ammaji, I came to you wanting to just deal with death, because I couldn't deal with all this death. But I learned from you how to live with life. Of course, dealing with death became incidental, and what I got from you was how to live life. And that's really what the philosophy is about. It teaches us about life. All right. And so we need to know how, we are born into this world that is so vast, so big, infinite, and so complex. It's not an easy world that we are in. And we as human beings are limited, in our capacities in every way. We have physical limitations, we have emotional limitations, we have intellectual limitations, and there's just spiritual limitations. We are dealing with limitations all the time, isn't it? And every generation struggles to deal with one's own context, one's own society. If you look at life today, just within our own generation, my own generation, when I grew up with, what was technology? Even when I was a child, when I was very young, I remember to have a TV was a big deal those days. To have a refrigerator was a big deal. Today you have your TV on your phone. Every child, every adult in India does. And I grew up in the city. And so the world has become so smaller, so much smaller. There is no such place called remote anymore. Himalayas, it was a place monks used to escape to go remote, away from society. Hey, there is no place called remote to run to, Even inside our caves, the signal works. At times it works. And so you can't escape even a cave life. It's unbelievable what modern life is all about. And we keep calling this progress, isn't it? Because the more you upgrade yourself, you are progressive, you're moving with society. Whole life is about progress. Progress means what? Upgrade. Is it not? You open your computer, it asks for an upgrade. You turn on your phone and it also talks about updates. And every day you keep upgrading. You upgrade from your current home to the new home, from the current car to the new car, isn't it? From the current husband to the new husband, you know. We keep upgrading partners, we keep upgrading. The whole life is about upgrading. The more you can upgrade, the more progressive you are, the more intelligent we are. This is how our society has taught us. Is it not? Known or unknown to us, that's how we find ourselves moving with the rhythm of life. Well, whatever it may be, one thing common to all of us is we all seek to be happy. We all seek to be free from conflicts. We all seek to be free from any anxieties and any stress. This is one thing common to all of us. And we hope these upgradations will bring us more peace, more comfort. What do we discover? Well, in the 20s, you don't discover anything. 30s, a little wisdom begins to kick in. By the time we are in our 40s, it hits us hard that time is running out. We better find some yoga teachers and meditations. And we recognize by the 40s and 50s, well, in spite of all these upgradations, well, deep down, deep inside, there is still a struggling soul. A soul that is struggling, coping with life, coping with challenges, trying to make the best of situations, the best of relationships. And it's not easy because conflicts are there. Conflicts, a conflicted mind, a conflicted heart. In dealing with day-to-day living doesn't make a life a source of happiness at all. We find two types of conflicts, within us. One is we call this intra-psychic conflicts. Conflicts which are within oneself, just oneself. For you to be conflicted, you don't need anybody else. Just you is enough. It's called intra-psychic conflicts. And we have interpersonal conflicts where when we engage with the others. These are all two types of conflicts in our life. Am I right? What is the third? This is all we have, myself and others. And this intra-psychic conflict is very peculiar, very peculiar. Because I have nobody else to go to. I have to figure it all out within me. And this figuring things out within me is challenging because I have disagreement within myself. My own clash. My clash of emotions, mixed feelings. You love somebody so much. And simultaneously you hate this person so much. How can you love and hate both? How can there be two opposite emotions towards one soul? And you go through agony because of this love-hate emotions that clash. And they don't help generate happiness. They become a source of anxiety and stress. Am I right? And so this is called a clash between emotions within you. We have also conflicts within where you have your emotions on one side and your values on another side, Typical example I can give is parent-child conflict. You love your child so much. The last thing you wanted to do was whack this kid. But you had to. You had to discipline the child and make this child weep and scream just because he held that knife in hand that he was not supposed to. And you went paranoid thinking of all the consequences. And so your thinking says one thing, but your emotion, you are conflicted. You love him and you don't want to hit him, but you need to hit him, and this creates problem. How should I handle this kid? What I feel and what I need to do, what I need to do to express is far from what I feel for the child, right? And so emotions and the thinking process, cognitive thinking process, your value system, all of that can come to a conflict. These are intra-psychic conflicts, understand? We all go through these conflicts. What is the consequences? The consequences: guilt, hurt, anxiety, stress, shame, low self-esteem, feel like a failure. All these feelings come. All these feelings I have to contend with, that I cannot drop. Remember, human beings are unique. We are very unique beings of this planet. Because we have an awareness which is far, far, far superior to the self-awareness seen in plants, animals, and other life forms. Unique we are. The plants are self-aware. Have you seen awareness in plants? There is a plant called Touch Me Not. Have you seen that plant? The name of the plant is Touch Me Not. Why? Because if you touch it, it just, it moves away from you. It closes up its leaves and waits for you to go away. After half an hour, it will open its leaves again. They are aware that this person is not respecting my name. It's aware. I don't want to be touched. They also have awareness. They have awareness of how to find their prana, their energy from the sun. Even if a small sapling is growing and there is other trees around it, it will grow, turning its branch, and then it will move up towards the sun from where a little bit of light is available. It's very aware of where to find its food. Very aware of how to go down into the root, into the soil, and draw its nourishment. They are aware. But their self-awareness is limited. Okay? It's limited. Animals also are aware. Always talk about, they're small pocket dogs, you see these cute little pocket dogs, you can put them in a pocket and walk on the street. And then when you are going on this walk, this huge German shepherd, yeah, he is walking with his master. Until he spotted this German shepherd, this dog was silent. The minute he spots that, he recognizes, hey, that's my race. That's my type. And he starts barking, he starts wagging his tail. He draws attention because he recognizes his species. Right? They are aware that I'm a dog. He knows I'm a dog. And that's like me. He's like me. But their awareness is not as evolved where they form a judgment. Remember, we are so unique that we make judgments. We create judgments based on our own needs and our own expectations. Human consciousness is good, is exalted. But when we deal with life experiences, there is one thing we do is make judgment. Please make a note of this. It's a very, very important point that we will need to address as we move along in this self course where you are taken back to yourself. So the judgment based on needs, expectations, based on right and wrong, the right, wrong expectations, all this moral dilemma is all a big, big challenge in life. Internal conflicts comes because we have judgments. We judge. We divide the world into right and wrong. Right? Don't tell me Ammaji wrong. Even if you tell me Ammaji wrong, I say right, you say wrong. That's what it is. We're always judging people and situations and ourselves and our actions, our behavior with this judgment of right and wrong. Self-aware I am of my body. Self-aware I am of my mind, of my emotions, of my intelligence or lack of it. And I judge whether it's okay or not. I'm beautiful enough or not. I'm pretty enough or not. I have to keep asking my partner every second day, do you love me, dear? He's already told you 1,000,000 times, I love you like I love nobody else. But you have to hear every other day. Why? Because you have concluded in your judgment of yourself that you're not worthy of love. And so you're very confused. How can this guy love me when I know I'm not worthy of love? Maybe he loves my money. Maybe he loves my body. Maybe he loves something else about me, but he doesn't love me. You have doubt, self-doubts. These conclusions, these self-doubt, are all factors that contribute to intra-psychic conflicts, They're all a package of intra-psychic conflicts. The world of right and wrong has become the philosophy of my life. And so here, we need to know why am I, what is the consequence of this? Stress, anxiety, lack of acceptance. I can never accept myself in this way. And so I do so many things to release myself from conflict. Interpersonal conflict, well, that emerges with people who are known to us and also with people who are unknown to us. Is it not? Otherwise, people who are not known to you personally, how can you have conflict with them? But we do. We do. We are conflicted with the society. I want to live a non-competitive life, and the society teaches me to be competitive. Like the ideology, I am stressed because of the ideology. There are places, the cosmopolitan societies also create conflict. Somebody does something their way, somebody else does something their way. Have you ever tried living in New York? I did. I did. I lived in New York for 10 years. And I used to work in Brooklyn, driving across the Brooklyn Bridge, Verrazano Bridge. And I was always amused in this cosmopolitan city. All types you cannot imagine human beings exist. All types of hairdo. You know, you think this is a standard hairdo with trimming and all, but people have hair coming out this way, the others have hair going this way. All shapes and sizes and colors and forms. All kinds of clothing. You don't know where all people cut their clothes. How would I even think of such ideas? I used to be very, very amused. Early days, I could just sit on the train station and watch people for hours together. So amusing. Cosmopolitan. You don't know what is right, what is wrong. I was taught when you wear a earring, you have 2 ears, you should have 2 earrings. But I found people hanging 1 earring. I found people hanging ornaments from places that I didn't think you could hang anything, you know. From the lips, an ornament hangs. How can they hang something from the lip? But they do. Well, all I'm saying is, you see human beings' behaviors in unbelievable ways. Just in form itself, the variety is so much. How can you not judge? If you're not careful, you will be forming conclusions and people's behaviors you will be conflicted. All of this become a source of conflict, the way they walk, the way they talk. Very interesting. I could recognize Americans from in any group of Westerners, you know. Because the Americans, I know where they talk loud, it's America. You go on a cruise and there are all kinds of people from different nationalities, different countries. I could spot this group must be Americans. Walk up to them and yeah, sure they are Americans. How did I know? Because how loud they speak. I can also recognize the Germans. You know how? Because even when they talk in front of me, 2 feet away, I don't understand anything. Not that they don't speak clearly or they don't know English, but they are so soft, so gentle, so tender, so soft. I get embarrassed asking them to repeat what they said. They're so polite. So it's wonderful. but I can spot them. All I say is, you see variety, But if we make the variety a source of conflict, which we do, cosmopolitan cities people don't like because it's too different. They can't handle. It's a source of anxiety. Differences makes people nervous. You come to India, you will find out. These people are so different in the Eastern world. It can make you very nervous if you're a nervous type and a concluding type, judging type. If you're open, then you can have you will be partying all the time because this country is full of people. You cannot walk 10 steps without bumping into somebody or the other. So one needs to be open, and free. Interpersonal conflicts with unknown people can arise. Of course, interpersonal conflicts with family and friends happens because of our own need and expectations. Need to be loved, need to be accepted. And these needs, when they are not met with by family, then it's very, very difficult, What do? I'm stuck with these feelings inside, which are unnerving, which are anxiety causing. What do I do to free myself from these conflicts? Please tell me, what is it I can do? Can I run away? Can I deny that they exist? How do I deal with this? Can I isolate myself from all of that? I don't want the world. Let me just walk away from it all. That's not an answer. You will always walk away from one situation and enter another. If it's not your family, it will be some neighbor who will become again the source. Your context can change, but your blueprint of your thinking, your karmic life doesn't change. Context will change. But what you have to experience and evolve from, that won't change. And therefore, it is important that we look for solutions in life which are, what you say in modern language, organic, organic. What is organic solutions? Which are stable solutions that take into account who you are essentially, that take into account your own understanding of life. Your freedom from conflict will come when you will be cognitive in your approach. Cognitive means understand, that there are universal values. There are personal values. You can't see a cosmopolitan society, and especially today's times when the planet has become one large village, they say, a global village. You cannot look at this global village like we did 25 years ago, even 10 years ago. Why? Well, because there are human beings, there are certain universal principles on which all human beings live the common way, the same way. There are universal principles of ethics. And of course, there are personal values. We must know whether my personal values will predominate, subserving the universal commonality, or whether in my life the universal values predominate and my personal values subserve. we'll have to reflect, and we'll have to understand this very well. If my personal values are they predominate, they won't allow me to see human beings for what they are. You and I can sit across the world and talk. Yeah? You will soon see, as the time goes by, how much you're going to keep agreeing with Ammaji. Now you're all listening to me, being the first session. Very soon you will be nodding your head in things I say. Birgit is already nodding. Why? Because there is so much universality that we touch upon. There are so many universal values on which we all can come together as one family. Acknowledging our differences of our hair, our skin color, and accents, and so on and so forth, cultural differences, we can still come together on some universal truths about us as humans. We need to decide whether those universal values will predominate in my personal philosophy, will predominate, and my personal values of right, wrong, and so on will subserve, or whether my personal values are so important to me that I judge all cultures and civilizations on personal values and the universal principles subserve. You understand the difference? You can sense the difference. Like, if I have a personal value of simple, I value my breakfast oats in the morning, hot oats with milk, all right. Oh, what's that? Oat milk, all right, oat milk, oats with oat milk. And you come to India, and nowhere in the country you can get goat milk with oats. Nowhere. I tell you now itself, if you're planning that, you please bring your goat along with you to get the milk. Now, if that is so important to me, that's my personal preference, and that's how it should be, you will suffer every breakfast that is given to you in this country. Nothing will be good enough. You understand? It's a simple thing. It's very simple. But the universal principles we need to know, where that must be predominant, where my personal values must predominate. This cognitive education we need to have, especially in modern world. Not only that, I would say a life of introspection is very important. Not just cognitive principles, introspective, being introspective. We need to recognize our feelings as they occur, acknowledge our feelings as they occur. Many a time, the feelings have occurred and done its damage and gone. And we wonder what happened. Did I really speak that way? Did I really do? You don't even know what you said when the emotion outbursts take place. And so not only a cognitive approach, we need introspective, an introspection where we get to know ourselves better. Who am I all about? In terms of recognizing my feelings. Number 2, in deliberating one's thinking process. How do I think about something? Yoga gives you the tools for all this, understand? The philosophy gives you the tools how to educate oneself in dealing with oneself, one's conflicts and conflicts with the world. And so number 2 is deliberating one's thinking process. In my thinking itself, if there is a distortion, if in my all of us are philosophers, I'm sure every one of you have your own philosophy of life. Good. We all live by our philosophies. But is our philosophy making us happy people? Or is my philosophy a source of conflict and discomfort? I must look at my philosophy. That's called deliberation, Deliberating one's thinking process, where you analyze, you modify, you reshuffle your thought processes. Hey, this was stupid. I should not be thinking in this way. It's silly. Let me drop it. Let me pick up a thinking that will nurture me, make me a happier person. This is very important as part of one's introspection. Okay? The first point I mentioned in freedom from conflict, the solution, one is cognitive, an understanding of value systems of the world and personal values. And number 2, I talked about introspection at the level of recognizing one's feelings. Number 2, by deliberating one's thinking process. Okay? Number 3, I would say analyzing one's behavior. My behavior. Why? Why behavior? Because action is choice-based. No one does an action just like that. You choose your action, don't you? And choice is a great privilege of a human being. I can choose to shake hands with you, or I can choose to say namaste. Well, here I cannot shake hands. On this computer. But we have choices. Daniela had a choice to do the course with me, sitting in India. She came. Or she had a choice not to do the course and just enjoy some 5-star hotel and do a good Ayurvedic massage and so on and so forth. But she chose this. This is called choosing. Every action is choice-based, and therefore it's important to analyze one's behavior. How do I behave? Am I polite? Do I have a smile? All of us, if I ask you, let me know about your goodness. What good qualities do you have? And I'm sure you have your list ready. Then I ask your partner, so what are her good qualities? Can you shortlist for me? Oh, the big list you make, I don't find any of them over there. Honestly, I have done such tests, experimentations. And then I wonder, how can that be? She's an honest lady and he also is an honest man. How come they live with each other under the same roof? Why is it that he doesn't see what she says? You know why? Because what she thinks herself to be, she is unable to reflect it in her behavior. I may think I'm a very generous soul, but if a person who comes to me in need and I brush him off, I ignore him, What use is my generosity? So, my own understanding of myself, suppose what I think of me to be, and you also think I am that way, then I will say, I'm able to manifest what I think I am. I'm able to do that. But if I say I'm a loving soul and you are afraid of me, it's not your fault. It's me who has not learned to express my own soul properly. There are blocks, there are conflicts, there is some wrong philosophy, or there is some distortion that prevents me from expressing me as I am. And therefore, we need to recognize through our learning of the Upanishads, we will be introduced to the self in a very, very different paradigm, in a very different light. We always think enjoying leisure is a function of time. When I tell you, relax, enjoy some leisure. And what do? You go find some leisurely activities. How to fill your time in sitting in the tub? Because sitting in the tub is enjoying leisure. No. Enjoying inner leisure is not an activity. Enjoying leisure is a inner tranquility, inner tranquility. How does one enjoy inner tranquility? How does one live life, understanding life? It's very, very, freedom from conflicts doesn't just come like this. It comes with spiritual education. Learning how to let go, how to surrender to the higher order of life, how to accommodate, how to communicate, how to live in a competitive society where for us both victory and defeat I have learned to accept gracefully. There are many, many tools that we need to expose ourselves to live with inner leisure and peace. And that is what this week is going to offer you. Give you insights into freedom from conflicts. A life where you enjoy inner tranquility, inner peace, and not allow these skirmishes to become so big that they topple me over. That is the strength of the philosophy, supported by your yoga practices, and we will see more in the next session. Okay? I shall close with a prayer. Om Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhake Sharanye Trembake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.